This is Swivl. This is a robot that records everything that I'm doing and follows me around the classroom, and then automatically stores that data in the cloud, and then gives me a file that I can then download and edit, or create a link for it and allow other people to view it. So I'm doing that in this class for direct instruction. It was my New Year's resolution. I was telling this group to gather that video and then put it up on the Moodle page or the Canvas page for each one of our direct instruction lessons to supplement what's up there for people that aren't in class or people that want to come back and check out what we did later on. Okay, so I'm going to try this out. If I forget to do it, you can remind me to turn it back on, and I may glare at you and say I'm not doing that anymore. But we'll see. We'll see if I can stick to it. I want to have a whole semester's worth of direct instruction up there. So we are going to begin our first tech tool in our tech toolkit. There is an activity guide that accompanies the lesson and instruction. I just want to get you used to interacting with the learning management system in this way. It's down here where it says Tech Toolkit Task Number 1, and then under here where it says Nearpod Activity Guide. So the activities that we're going to be completing for this are all going to be found there. The articles we're going to read and so on. I always start with a demonstration of the tool. So I show you what it looks like in practice, and sometimes we pretend like I'm actually teaching you the tool in the classroom for those of you who have not seen it before. That is going to be the case this time. I'm going to be sharing a Nearpod presentation with you as if I'm your 7th grade history teacher and you are my 7th grade history students, and then we're going to walk through this Nearpod presentation. The only difference is you're going to be seeing the Nearpod presentation from the teacher view. So you're going to be seeing what I see as I'm putting these things out to you, and we're going to be reflecting on how they can be used in instruction and what they mean for us as teachers. So what I'd like you to do is two things. Number one, I'd like you to join me on the Nearpod presentation. Visit nearpod.com or open the Nearpod app on any mobile device. In the Join Session window, you're going to enter our code. Our code is FTWMZ. FTWMZ is the code. And I'd like you, secondly, to wheel your chairs up to the front of the classroom so you can see the board more clearly. They're on wheels. We paid extra for them, so I'd like you to wheel yourself. Yeah, bring your computer too. It can just sit on your lap.
Can we just chill here?
No. No, you can chill. Yeah. There we go. Kevin knows how to do it.
Yeah, Kevin. Hey.
Come hither. Come hither.
Really?
Really?
I actually went out and got them.
Did you go to Menchie's?
What?
Did you go to Menchie's?
Yeah. It's the first one that came up on Safari. So.
Okay, so this is the forbidden secret look at the teacher view of Nearpod. Hands up if you've been a student in a Nearpod class before and participated with Nearpod. Okay, so this is what the teacher sees as they're organizing and controlling the instruction for the students. The first thing I want to show you is this. In the lower left-hand corner here, these little people down here. If you click on that, it gives you a list of all the students that have beamed into your instruction for this lesson. It always requires students to put their name or nickname in there, and it does that to avoid connecting the students' names or personally identifiable information with their performance on this Nearpod, and that's important. What that means is this is a technology you can use at any grade level. There's no permissions required because you're not directly connecting the students' personally identifiable information with their performance on the quiz. Does that make sense? All right. So you can see who's on here. Somebody who's connected. Would you mind logging out? Would you mind pressing the upper right-hand corner there and press exit? So everyone who's connected, you'll see they have a green circle next to their name. But Trevor logged out of this thing. He's going somewhere else. He's doing something else. He's playing Minecraft, or World of Nerdcraft, or whatever he's doing. I know that as the teacher. Because he's beamed out. In fact, when someone leaves the session and they're all on PCs or Macs, when they're on computers, it will show in red down here, and you can use that and address it. You can say, hey, Trevor, what's up? Get back in the lesson, man. We need you. And also, it's a good indicator because sometimes in schools, you'll be using a tool like this, and then you'll be in a high school, and there's the head coach of the football team, and the assistant coach of the football team. They're also social studies teachers with you, and it's Friday, and they're showing Last of the Mohicans that day, and they're showing it through on YouTube, and it requires all that bandwidth. So all of a sudden, all your students get like kicked off because there's not enough bandwidth to allow you to do that while the football coaches are showing their videos. So then you'll be able to see that there and be able to pause and get everyone beamed back in while you wait for the internet to sort itself out. You also have this option here to hide students' names. So you can potentially show your screen this way to your students and use this as a presentation device so that people can look at their screens, and at the front of the classroom you do that by shutting off student names. The reason you want to shut off student names is students are going to enter answers to questions and take quizzes and draw pictures and stuff, and you may not necessarily want that information linked to individual students because it may be embarrassing for those students. Also, there's certain students in your class that, how do I put this? They want your attention, and they want everyone else's attention in the classroom. So instead of drawing like a picture of what they think of when they think of Europe, they'll just draw a swastika, for example, just to get interest in whatever it is that they're doing for a laugh, or draw something inappropriate. If you disassociate the name with the picture, it makes it a little less likely that they're going to do that. So I'm going to show students names for now. The way you advance through your presentation is here at the bottom of the screen. Now, this is true whether you're presenting from an iPad, from a phone, or from a lectern computer. You click on this little button here at the bottom, and it'll pop up with all your slides. This allows you to move through and see all the different slides that you have moving forward in your presentation. So sometimes you plan instruction and you plan it on like a Tuesday night, and then you teach on a Friday morning, and you forget a little bit of what you had intended to teach. This gives you a way to kind of keep ahead and move forward. In order to show a slide, in order to control people's screens and what they're looking at, you can take the slide and you can really use your finger on an iPad, or you can drag it out with a mouse. See how well that works. Why is that not working? Oh, it's already there. Okay. So you can drag it out with a mouse, and it will automatically advance everyone's screens to the slide that you are sharing right now. Tell me in sign language you're with me. That's how you control the presentation. You can also move it forward in a linear way. So these little arrows right here, you can just click on an arrow. It'll advance it to the next slide, or take it back a slide if you want to. The way I recommend actually sharing the presentation with a group is by adding another tab and sharing it as a guest. So logging in as if you're logging in as a student, entering the code so that it looks the same as a student's view. And I really recommend sharing the presentation from a mobile device where possible. Sharing it from a mobile device means that you can move out and among your students and be with them. Your proximity matters. It is, like I said, everything about the classroom is inherently awkward. But being next to the teacher makes students pay attention a little bit more. So new teachers like yourselves like the podium up here. You like it because it's like, it's safer, and you feel like this is how, like if you could enact, you could be the person you want to be, you'd hide behind the lectern literally. And so some people do that, and they like being glued to the lectern, and you're boring that way. You want to be out and among the people. So you want to get an iPad or even your phone. A lot of our students present their presentations directly from their phone. Then they just log into the screen as if they're a student, and then they advance the slides that way. Tell me in sign language if you're with me. Right on. All right. So there's, in addition to content slides, there's lots of little tips and tricks that you can use to embed different activities and assessments in your instruction. So right here, I've got this request that all my students draw a picture that represents what they know about ancient Egypt. This works a lot better on a mobile device, obviously, than it does on a computer. But let's just see what happens here. Try your best. Try your best. Draw a picture. When I say ancient Egypt, do your best or do your worst. No swastikas. What's that? No, it's not. It's not. It's not. Well, we're going to do geography later. Don't draw Henway either. It's very rude. Please do not draw Henway.
Draw who?
A Henway.
don't
I had a
know
student
what
do.
that is, so
What is what?
what? A Henley?
Yeah, don't draw Henway.
What is that?
What is what?
Never mind.
Don't draw Henway.
All right.
Go ahead. Do it.
No.
Don't draw Henway, Trevor. Have any questions about that? Have any questions? Just go ahead and ask it. Just do me the favor.
Because like I know I'm being set up.
Yeah, of course you are, but it's
But,
not.
like, I don't get it.
It won't. A teacher at your college is not going to be like personally insulting to you. I'm not going to.
Are you telling? So what's a Henway?
Yeah, about 2 or 3 pounds.
Oh. Okay. Well, that wasn't funny.
That's all. That's all. That's all. Yeah. So, check this out. As students are submitting their drawings of ancient Abbey, holy smokes, that's really good. I can see that the students are engaged in the work. I can see that the students are completing their task. I can see that Abby is a gosh darn rock star. Totally gets it. Totally gets it. And I can see that Lindsay drew a Dorito. And James, holy smokes, incredible. That's incredible. So I can also share these drawings out with the students, and I can use these as points of reflection. I can draw out ideas. This is formative assessment. So this is checking for student understanding. It's informal, right? It's not graded or anything. But I can see where students are, and I can see that if no one gets it, if everyone draws a picture that's way off, I can go back and reteach if I need to. Jeremiah, do you care to explain?
Oh, that's one of the gods, a jackal-headed one, and
Uh-huh.
the other is Scarab.
Okay, right on. You watched The Mummy too?
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Okay, so more content here. Egypt is located on the Nile River. The Nile begins in the highlands of Ethiopia, and it drains high. Nice. Are you okay?
Yeah.
I'm so worried about you.
Something else out there.
All right. They unite and flow north where they empty the Mediterranean Sea. And it leaves the Nile a very fertile area. It's a very fertile soil there in the Nile because it's drained by that river that brings all the rich nutrients from the soil in Ethiopia down through that river valley. The most important part about that river is, in fact, it floods. And when it floods, it brings all those nutrients and it washes them all over the normally arid soil, and it makes that area very, 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 very fertile. It's the area was called the Black Land. It's black because the soil is so rich, and that meant that the Egyptians could have a religion because the soil was so fertile that it allowed for people to do something other than farming. You could have a small percentage of your population on farming, and the other percentage of your population could do things like invent religion to boss other people around. What I want you to do now is draw a picture that summarizes, enhance this picture in a way that summarizes what I just shared with you. So I'd like you to trace along what you think is the Nile River in blue, and I'd like you to put a star on the map where you think the capital of Egypt is. Cairo. Jordan?
I'm a math person. This is not my thing.
No, you did okay. I understand why you guessed that. It's a wasteland where you put your star. There's nothing out there. It's a good guess. It's a good guess.
I just kind of went through the middle.
Who's K. Hoagie?
Hey.
Oh, I get it. So it was roll the dice
I have
as
no
well.
idea
Sure,
what it is.
fair enough.
It's
Fair enough.
somewhere.
Where's my social studies people? Catherine got it. Yeah. Jesse got close. James. We're in FTWMZ. FTWMZ for Nearpod. All right, so I can, again, check for understanding. And I want to say something about this. You can, on the draw it feature, put a picture down and then have that be an overlay for students to come in and draw something over top of that. And that's what I did here. So it's not just necessarily a blank canvas. It can be a cell that the students label. It could be a graphic organizer grounded in the text that the students just read that they write over top of. It could be a formula where the students fill in the missing number that they need to complete the formula. So this is an area that's interactive in that way. All right, so they invented these deities, these gods, and in addition to that, they also invented hieroglyphics or language that allowed them to share information with each other and spread that religion. Hieroglyphics is a pictorial oriented language, so the letters are actually pictures. There is a really important artifact called the Rosetta Stone. It has hieroglyphics and it has Greek on the same tablet, which meant that for the very first time in the early 1800s, when the stone was discovered as part of Napoleon Bonaparte's expedition to Egypt, they could decipher what hieroglyphics actually mean and read the language, which is pretty cool. So it also has it in Demotic language as well, which I don't know what that is. So I'm going to beam you out to a website to practice a little bit of hieroglyphics here. So you can go ahead and join us on that website, and you're going to be able to type in your own name in hieroglyphics. So that's another Nearpod feature. You can beam students to external websites. You can get them to those websites directly in the presentation that you're sharing. Have you ever had a teacher write a web address on the board and have everybody in class try to write that web address down? That's problematic, because that happened here at the college, I hope not. We should use the learning management system for that. But the nice thing about Nearpod is you just grab that link, you can beam them directly out to that website. You don't have that problem where no one can type in the right address. The other advantage is that this is actually happening within the structure of Nearpod, so you can control how long the students spend at this website, and you can identify whether or not the students are engaged in the website using this little people feature down here. So as long as I know everyone's in the green, they're engaged, they're interacting with that website, they're plugged in, they're queued in, and you're in good shape. But if I see a bunch of people turning off into the red, you know they've moved off your website. You don't have that advantage when you write the link down on the board, or even if you just type the link in your learning management system and have them click on it from Moodle or Edmodo or Schoology or Google Classroom. Did you write your name? How's it look? Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. All right. So we also have this other feature. You've seen it. We used it in our very first direct instruction. It's called the Collaborate board. When you use a Collaborate board as the teacher, you have the choice to either approve student comments before they're posted, or just a free-for-all and let everyone post at will. There are some cases where you definitely want to control that the Collaborate board items before they go up there. So if you're dealing with a sensitive subject, or you're teaching 8th graders after lunch, you want to dial that in. But if it's a senior English class or something, you can let them go. I'll let you guys go because I trust most of you. So I'm going to press no, I don't want to approve student comments. I'm also going to apply this for the rest of the session. You want to do that if you have a bunch of Collaborate boards and you don't want to answer this question every single time. It just automatically answers it for you. No. Why was writing so significant to the Egyptians? Now, real quick, you can type in your thoughts there, and you can also click a picture that accompanies it. You can search the picture, and it has a school filter that prevents, for the most part, negative images from popping up. And they can just search, and they'll get a picture that they can beam in with their post. Press post, and it will show up for them. So go ahead and make a post type of response. The code is FTW. FTW. Yeah. WMZ. All right. So, teaching tip here. I can see everyone's names. This is from the teacher view. I know Matthew put that picture there. I know James put that picture. Do you see their names? No, so it's anonymous for the student view. So this is a tool that's useful for you and also hides the students' identities, which keeps them from trying to solicit attention for themselves. All right, we're going to talk a little bit now about Egyptian architecture. So that agricultural surplus, made possible by the rich, fertile soil of the Nile River, also allowed for the development of monumental architecture. So we go from cultures whose most sophisticated architecture was one-story buildings about the size of this room, to a culture sophisticated enough to build structures that stand to this day, massive, monumental structures like the pyramids and like the Sphinx. They were designed to be the tombs for the pharaoh. They originated as step pyramids, but then as the architects became more skilled, they were able to make them more fine. And actually, the pyramids that we see are a lot rougher than what they were, 2,000 to 3,000 years ago. They were covered in a facade of marble that made them smooth and really amazing. What I'd like you to do now is take a quick trip to those pyramids. This is what they look like now. If you have a mobile device, you can actually hold up your device and look. So everyone look at Zach. Zach, go ahead and look that thing up as if you're amazed. All right. So he's amazed. So if you have a mobile device or a device connected with a GPS or a gyroscope, you don't have one. You have to actually click on the screen and move around that way. So you can take 3D tours using Nearpod as well. All right, so we've just invested in this instruction of Egypt. This is where the rubber meets the road. I'm going to hide the students' names because this is going to be embarrassing. There's a little quiz for you that's going to show me how well you understood the content I shared with you. Yeah.
The question 4 is a little
wonky.
I guess it's only talking about Egypt.
It's good. Good question. Good question. I feel like it's strong. I don't see what the problem is. All right. So, folks, I lied about not showing your names. I'm going to show you names. So it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. So look, I want to share this to you because I want you to know that as a teacher, this is something you see. This is why you don't share your teaching screen with the rest of the class. If this was serious business, we were taking it seriously, that could be sensitive information. But you can see in real time as the students are answering the question how well they're doing. You can see which students are getting tripped up on which questions and which answers they're actually putting in there. You can also choose to share this information. Like right now, you see your quiz screen and it says, thank you for submitting the quiz. If I press this share button, it's going to beam your individual response back to you and let you know how well you did on this assignment. Pretty good. Pretty good. Okay. I'm going to leave this presentation. I'd like you to wheel even closer. I want you to really get close so you can see what I'm doing up here, because I'm going to show you some of the features here. All right, so listen. That's first period world cultures in 7th grade there for you. We just finished that bad boy up, and I'm working with Nearpod now. I'm going to show you a couple of things that remain. First of all, I want to show you this. When I go back to this presentation, when I press live lesson, I've got two options. I can launch a new live session that's going to get me a new code that I can use for my second period class who's walking in the door next. But let's say it's an abbreviated period. Let's say there's a snow day or something wild like that happens, and you have this 2-hour delay and everything's wedged in there. So you only got 30 minutes worth of your lesson in. You're going to pick up with a lesson on the next day. It keeps the code from the last class in there for 14 days. So you could have like 7 different classes in here for all your different preps with 7 different codes and keep on going back to them because it saves that information time and time again. So you don't have to restart everything and the student's data remains right where you left off. Yeah.
That would save your whole lesson though, like, if you wanted to, like the lesson you're teaching us now. Like say if you don't teach it in like, the next 14 days and it expires, can you like still save that slideshow?
The slideshow's there forever.
Okay,
that's separate. Yeah, the slideshow's in my library. I'm going to show you the library in a minute. The slideshow remains forever, but the exact position the students were in at that time is only accessed through that code. If I start that again and I press resume, it's going to show the same code and all the students will be back beamed in here and it keeps everything for them. But if I press launch new live lesson, it'd be a totally new code and a new instance of running that Nearpod. Okay. The home screen of Nearpod is where everything's from, where everything starts. The library is your collection of Nearpod presentations. You can organize them into folders. So you can have a folder if you have different preps. If you're teaching high school and you've got an Algebra 1, you've got a geometry, and you've got your AP Calc class, you can have 3 different folders for all your Nearpod presentations in those folders. It's where you can do more with those presentations and share them different ways. The live lesson, if I highlight over it and I press live lesson, that's what I just shared with you to engage this direct instruction lesson. If I press student paste, it's going to give me a different code. It's going to give me a different code. And this is a code that's active for 29 days. This is a code that can be activated any time by students. Where instead of me controlling their progress through the slides, they control their progress through the slides. This is what you put up on your learning management system if you want your Nearpod presentation to be a homework assignment. Or if you're grading class participation and somebody missed the presentation because it was too cold outside. Or the shuttles weren't running on time. What is it? There was ice on the roads.
Oh, no, I left my book bag in the car.
Left your book bag in the car. Let's say this is a graded presentation. I'd beam you right back in there. You'd be ready to go, and it would be no problem. So this collects the data that way. There's also a couple different ways to share these presentations in addition to just through the codes. So I press these 3 dots. I can share a couple different ways. The easiest way to do it is by pressing share, grabbing the link, pasting the link wherever you want it to go. So if you want this presentation to be accessed elsewhere, if you want to put it on your newsletter that you send out to your parents because you're helping them figure out what Common Core algebra is all about, and you want to email them that presentation, you can do it that way. You can also, there's a direct connection to Remind 101. Have any of you used Remind before? It's where you can share your cell phone number, your email address, and your teachers can text you the information. You can beam it directly to your Remind account. Social, you can put it on Twitter, Google, Facebook, Pinterest, and put it out that way to share with other teachers, or some schools allow you to have your social media presence be a place that you share that information. And then there's this embed code. This embed code is how I take my Nearpod presentations and embed them directly in my Canvas page. So when you look at Canvas, this is kind of next level. We'll go back to why I looked at the edges. And you can see my presentation right here. It's there because I pressed edit. I pressed HTML editor, which all learning management systems have, and it gave me the nerdy HTML code. I just copied that HTML code and I pasted it into here, and then that embeds it directly. And that's how I did that, in case you're interested. Okay, back to Nearpod. That's a library and that's sharing. If I press Explore, it's going to allow me to enter a searchable database of thousands of pre-built lessons offered for free, for a modest fee, for you to download and use. It's a searchable database by grade level. What's something we teach? What's something some of you are going to teach someday? Anything?
High school math.
Math. So something specific like algebra. All right. So if we search algebra, we get all these different presentations. We can preview this lesson. This is algebra problems, riding a roller coaster, right? So this is built, already done. For $2.99, you can download this guy and you can share it with your students. Well, you have to buy it. Pretty cool. So this is what happens if, let's say, you're teaching on a Friday morning, and you were going to take it easy, and you were going to coast, and you're going to have the students work on their group projects. But the morning you got in, you got an email saying your principal is going to come observe your classroom. You plop down your $2.99 and you get a pre-baked lesson ready to go, and you move on from there. All right. So it's. I'll be honest with you. I don't use that feature, but I'm no longer responsible for 180 days worth of instruction for my students. I see you like 40, 45 times during the course of a semester. It's a much more condensed way to teach. But if you're responsible for 180 days worth of instruction and you're a brand new teacher and you've got to plan something for every single one of those days and you're stretched and you're pushed, and especially early on in your teaching career, there's nothing wrong with using tools from their library. A lot of them are built by teachers like yourselves or professional curriculum designers. The join is real simple. That's just if you're logged into your account and you want to join directly from the app or from the browser, you can just click join. I'm going to come back to Create in a second. I'm going to show you reports. So reports is where all the data gathered during the development and delivery of these lessons is stored and organized for you to access later on. So I've got all my presentations, including this one, Egypt, from 2019, 1:30, and it started at 2:25. That's you guys. If I click on this, I can see all of your names, your performance on the quiz. I can see I can see your drawings here. It saves those forever. So if you want to use your students' performance on these Nearpod presentations for your own grades, to enter grades, if you want to give them some sort of assignment performance on that, you can do that. But there's lots of other times in schools where you're asked to collect data about your students' performance. This is a very powerful way to keep those things. You can also download it as a PDF or common separated values. It's an Excel spreadsheet, basically. Let's say you're keeping a portfolio for your students because you're asked to by your school principal because they're preparing you for the 339, which is college and career readiness. Every student in the state of Pennsylvania is now required to create a portfolio that demonstrates the degree to which their school prepared them for college and career readiness. And you're asked to put materials in there that demonstrate what you've done to help build that. You can download their performance on these on these Nearpod presentations and bring them in as well. Or let's say you're sharing this with a special education teacher, and you're co-teaching a class with them, or they're in a resource room where the special education teacher wants access to that information so that he can work with them on something that they needed help with. You can share that with them as long as they have a Nearpod account. Let's look at first day of Ed Tech. Which one? This would be you guys. So it keeps your performance here. I don't know if we had any. We had collaborate boards. So I can see your class board. And I can see all the information that you guys shared on that first day of class last week. Tell me something that you're with me. Okay. So we're going to go back to the library here. I want to show you one more quick thing. So within your library here, if you press share, in addition to sharing with a link, I want to make sure I get this to you. If you're sharing with another teacher, like let's say you create a Nearpod presentation with a 4 teachers class for field experience, and they love it. They think it's the best thing ever, and they want access to it. You can type in that teacher's email address there, and it will give them a editable copy of your Nearpod presentation. It'll give them something that they can download and use and will stay in their library forever and ever and ever. And they can make changes to it, and it doesn't affect yours. It's not like Google Docs or anything like that. They get a copy and you get a copy, and they become separate instances forever and ever and ever. Questions so far? Yes?
So when you send that teacher a copy for email, like whatever changes they make to it?
Right. They can delete it, and it's fine. They can take all the slides out and replace them with new slides. It's fine. You keep your copy, they keep their copy. Sign language with me? Lean and share with your neighbor. Come up with one more question about Nearpod. Lean and share with your neighbor. And actually, go back to your chairs. Go back to your desks and lean and share with your neighbor. hard to park right now too. There's snow in places. I'm just glad you're here. Smart. One more question about Nearpod. So.
Waiting for 2
I'm pretty sure I know that this is
I like that you can go back and look at all
Sure. It's like, when you think about it, you said like you could like it's not something that you go do like you wanted to do like all
All right, one more question. One more question. Let's hear it. Questions? Questions? Yes.
Can you use it as like a testing tool?
Yes. This can be your chapter test. This can be your chapter test if you want to. It grades it automatically for you. What else?
If you do like a pre-quiz in one part of it and then like an end of the unit quiz, can you stop your students from going beyond that pre-quiz?
It depends. If you get the live lesson link, then you can control when they get to the quiz. If you get the do it on your own pace link, then they can do it at their own pace and you can't control that. Yeah. Good. More questions. What question does your group come up with?
Where's the name Nearpod derived from? Why is it called Nearpod?
It's from the French for Nearpod, which means awesome teaching tool. Yeah, it's yeah, yep. Yes, good question. All right, listen, Kevin.
Even if you do the thing.
You have to be more specific.
Even if you do the link, right, where it's like it's at their own pace, there's like no way to set a time limit at all. Like it'll be like, hey, you're about to click the move on. It'll be X amount of time once you click.
For this tool, there is no mechanism to set a time limit. There are other tools that allow you to do that. But this is a tool that, if you set it up as a chapter test, as a do it at your own pace and say, this is a take-home test. They can take 6 hours. They can get all their answers from the internet. So you've got to keep that in mind as well. So yeah.
So what exactly is the point again? Like giving the students that one code that expires in 29 days?
For homework. So if you just get the link, if you just get the share link, they'll be able to access it, they'll be able to type information in, but it won't keep it. If you want them to do it as homework where you can actually keep the data afterwards, you've got to get that separate share link.
And even though like that Nearpod expires in like 29 days, the data still stays there forever.
The data stays there forever. But I'm going to let you in on a little secret for the next one. Nearpod's a company that wants to make money from you and your students in your school. I know. So everything that I showed you on here is all the features, all the bells and whistles, and there's more. There's more. I'll share with you more on Friday. But one of the things that's hidden behind the paywall is that live lesson versus do-it-your-own pace lesson. Live lesson is free. Do-it-your-own pace is behind the paywall. Now you can still get that share link. In fact, that's what you'll turn in when you make your Nearpod presentation for me for your first technology toolkit. But in order to collect that data and save it, you have to be behind the paywall. Now here's another little secret. They want to get you hooked. They took their business plan from meth dealers because the first time you use it, it's free. The first time you use it, it's free, and you'll find like You'll actually be able to email them, or they have a chat bot that you can ask for a free account. You can say, I'm a student at college. I want to use it for free. And they'll say, of course, you can have your first month free. And you'll make all these Nearpod presentations and use all the cool features and fall in love with it. And then your subscription will expire and you'll have to go back and ask for more. And they'll say, no, now you have to pay. Yeah, you can make another Google account. I've seen The Wire. I know. Yeah.
Just like flat out pay, and that's it.
It's a subscription. It's $9.99 a month. But we'll talk more about this. Whoa. So listen. I started. I've been teaching this class for 6 years. Everything was free 100% 6 years ago. These companies were brand new and they wanted to get their products out there and they wanted people to be familiar with them. Every year since then, more and more of these companies have hidden more and more of their product behind a paywall. And it's important that they be able to do that. They're not charitable organizations. These products exist because these companies need to make money off of them. As a school teacher, many of these products you can have purchased for you instead of or in supplement to the curriculum materials that you ask for. So many of the schools that we work with have Nearpod subscriptions that they give to teachers who ask for them. And even where they do not, most schools give you what's called PTO money, parent-teacher organization money, that if you chaperone the winter dance, then you get $200 to spend on whatever you want. If you love Nearpod, you can use your $200 to apply it to that. So no one's asking. No, I'm sorry you don't like it, Kevin. I did my best. You're my favorite class. It's not closed. I'll see you again on Friday, except Friday at 11 o'clock, except those of you in field experience. I'll see you at Friday at 9 o'clock and 127.